Tried telling you guys, we aren't playing games this month. Now, we kicked your October off with the lighthearted movie The Monster Squad, something for the whole family. But folks, family time's over. The movie we're discussing today isn't for the faint of heart. It's one of the most influential horror movies to ever exist. Some say it's the biggest, and I'll be honest, it's kind of hard to debate them. I know some of you have been chomping at the bit for this one, but in your heart of hearts, you know this movie deserves to be discussed in the spooky season. We are talking none other than Sam Raimi's 1981 classic, Evil Dead. Words can't begin to describe the impact it's had on the horror genre. It's almost as if the movie is a genre of its own. Out of all the franchises, I've never seen a fan base more dedicated, and I can understand why. Evil Dead is a fever dream of gore, laced with intense imagery, with a relentless pace that never stops. It's an onslaught, a smorgasbord of carnage. Let me put it this way. In the late 70s and the start of the 80s, when the VHSs and home movies started to become more relevant, Evil Dead was deemed so graphic that it was banned in over 5 countries, and it became a part of that legendary list known as the Video Nasties. Released in theaters October 15, 1981, the movie initially wasn't a success, but it stood the test of time, and it grew to be a pillar of the genre, and it has terrified audiences around the globe. It even lived on to see 2 sequels, and a musical adaptation, and a television series. You can't talk horror without talking Bruce Campbell as Ash Williams. You just can't. So let's get comfy, because this is one of the biggest episodes to date. As a Greek friend of mine once said, well, you know what? Never mind. I hope you got your chainsaws ready. Boys and girls, it's October, and here is our take on Evil Dead. Boom! Welcome to the Sloppy Horror Podcast. I am your host and your scary movie companion, Christian Ramey, and back again for another week clapping them cheeks, the best producer in the whole wide world, and my best friend, Mr. Ozark Mark. What's going on, Ozark?
Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to it. Welcome back to it. It's a pleasure to see you again.
Yeah!
Welcome to the Sloppy Horror Podcast. We are here to discuss a Halloween themed month movie here.
Wait, it is October.
That's right. It's pretty much Halloween. Halloween is from October 1st to October 31st. So happy October, whatever the fuck day it is, or whatever day this episode comes out on.
So, 9, 10, I think it'll come out on the 12th.
Happy October 12th. I hope you're doing good. I hope you've been eating candy while you've been watching movies. I hope everything's going good. I hope you picked out your fucking, your Halloween outfit. If you haven't picked out your Halloween outfit, you're like me, you don't care, you do it right on the day, because that's the fun part of it. But anyways, enough with all the noise here. Mr. Christian Ramey, today's a big day. Today is a big day here for the Sloppy Horror Podcast, because we are talking about one of the probably movies that are strictly for horror fans. Mm-hmm. Strictly. It's a horror fan movie. It's a movie for the horror fan. That's at least how I see it. Now, I have not seen this movie yet. Now, you're thinking, Mark, how have you not seen this fucking movie yet? Don't you like horror movies? Of course I love horror movies.
Well, you watched it. This was your first time watching it.
This was my first time watching it last night. And what's the movie called, by the way, Christian Ramey?
Boys and girls, we're in October. We are talking about Evil Dead. I have waited...
Evil! SpongeBob ruined me, by the way. Yeah. No, I don't fuck with SpongeBob anymore, but like the first 2, 3 seasons of it were pretty fucking hilarious. And
yes.
There's that episode where he goes to it's like those 2 superhero dudes or whatever the name is. Mm-hmm. I forget what their fucking name is. I know,
the Barnacle Boy and...
Yeah. And he just says evil, and he just goes, every time I hear the word evil, I go, evil! Stuck in my head forever.
I've been walking around all week like fucking Joe Pesci and Goodfellas, like feeling like I'm about to get made. Like I'm like excited. I feel like something's going down. I mean, Ozark and I have had this, we'll say this ammunition, waiting for a long time for Evil Dead. And, I remember in the summer, we're like, dude, let's drop it. And it's like, no. This is an October movie, man. Like, there aren't many movies that will make it to October. And it's going to happen again. After October, it's going to be November 1st. And Ozark, I will take our little break and we'll come back for the next season. And I'm pretty sure next season should be the season of sequels. If not, it'll be the following sequel. But next October, there's going to be a few movies we save for next October, too. There's only a certain amount of movies that can make it here. So that's one thing I want to tell you about Sloppy Horror Podcast. If you're listening to us in October of any fucking year, if there's a movie in there, know that that's a top tier. This is a top tier selection. I love Evil Dead. I'm a giant fan of Evil Dead. But Evil Dead fans, there's like horror movie fans, and then there's Evil Dead fans. These people come out of the woodwork. Like, I'm a fan, but there are fanatics, and I love it, man. I mean, I really do. From the cosplay, you see Ash Williams every day, or at least I do in my feed. Granted, it's all horror stuff, but it's not just Freddy, Michael, and Jason. Ash Williams is at the top of so many people's list, and rightfully so. He's a badass dude.
I think he's the top person for true horror fans, honestly.
Because he's a dude.
Yeah.
This whole movie, okay, here we are. We're going to start you off with a little synopsis here. Luckily, this one's brief.
Yeah, there's not much to explain, is there?
No, there really isn't.
It's pretty simple.
So, picture this, folks. Movie came out in 1981. A car full of people. We have 2 couples and then a 5th wheel. I'm going to get into that later. So 3 chicks, 2 dudes. They go to a cabin for a nice little trip. They're hanging out in the cabin, in the woods, so to speak. Well, they find a tape and a book in the basement. They play the tape. Well, this thing is the Book of the Dead, and this tape is like a seance that brings all the dead things that are in the woods alive. And it also, the dead people animate themselves within the living people. It gets crazy, right? So everybody ends up, I mean, spoiler alert, but it's been since 1981, and I'm assuming if you're watching Evil Dead, you have an idea. All of his friends fucking die, and they come back to life. And this dude's trapped here. There's like a bridge to get to this house where they got, and the bridge is all fucked up, and the woods are crazy. Like, it's scarier in the woods than it is outside. And all of his friends, it's scarier in the woods
than it is outside.
Inside. I'm sorry, did I say outside?
Yes.
Oh, thank you for catching that, Mark. I didn't even catch that.
Dude, most of the time I don't catch things that you say. I just let them go. But that one, like, sat with me for a second. Like, hold on a second. That didn't make any sense. That did not make any sense.
It was safer inside with his friends who were coming back as demons laughing at him, like a band of demons, literally, than it was outside because the woods were alive. There's a scene later in the movie where we will talk where a trees sexually assault a girl. Like, the woods are alive.
Mm-hmm.
So this whole time, our main character, Ash, played by Bruce Campbell, the iconic Bruce Campbell, he's got to get out, and he's got to find his way out. And there's sequels starring him, so you can assume, yes, he makes it out alive. Dude's a total badass. But I tell you what, man, I'm going to tell you what, Mark, watching this movie, let's just say for a moment, like, we're going to believe that this could happen. Because usually when you're watching it, you're like, sick, I'm a horror fan, Evil Dead. Or just like even you, like coming in first time, like, I hear this is sick, zombies, whatever, you know. You'll watch it like that. But let's just put ourselves in the shoes of like, okay, this is a real thing, and this were to actually happen. You were to go in the woods, and this shit were to happen. That would be the worst day of anyone's life ever. Like,
yeah.
Like, dude, that is the craziest scene of events. Like, the whole thing, it's this macabre, just fucking, there's so much gore. And it almost looks comical. But man, I tell you, Evil Dead terrified people in a way that was different because the movie is different. Now, we aren't talking about the remake, and I will get into none of that. But what I will say is I see a lot of people who have applauded the remake, and I'm okay with applauding or even like liking it. Evil Dead it belonged inside of the video nasties, and we've discussed this before. That was over in Britain, like the UK. They had this thing called the video nasties, where it was in the early 80s, the slasher boom. Like, there were these certain movies that they were like, you can't watch these are banned. These are the video nasties. And like the Evil Dead was one at the top of the fucking list.
Yeah, the Evil Dead is actually rated NC-17.
Yeah, good, man.
It is. It
Good.
literally, I saw it when it's on HBO Max right now. If you haven't seen it, so stop the fucking episode and go watch it. If you have HBO Max, but I saw it, I was like NC-17. It's like in the 80s.
Yeah,
like,
man.
Okay, I was like, what the fuck can make? Because I don't understand what's the difference between rated R and NC-17. Honestly. I don't think I've ever fully, truly understood the difference. Is NC-17 not suitable for anyone under 17, right? Is that what that means?
Yes, but R is the same thing, like restricted to people under like 18. So it's like
So R is worse.
you would think.
But everybody freaks out when they say that's NC-17.
So the rating systems, which was really interesting, just briefly, in the 70s, they didn't give a fuck, dude. Like, you could, like, put a chainsaw in a vagina. Like, it just didn't fucking matter. You just got away with a lot more. Well, the early 80s, we talked about those douchebags Siskel and Ebert and how they went on a big tyrant, fucking tantrum bitching about the Friday the 13th and all these fucking movies. And then the video nasties came out. So it was... and you have to think, in the 70s, people weren't watching VHSs. They weren't watching movie tapes. So this starts kicking off in the 80s. People start getting HBO eventually. That's when parents start saying, what the hell are my kids watching? But anybody knows. Tell your kid not to do something. What are they going to want to do even more?
Tell anybody, an adult, not to do something, they're going to go do it.
Like, if you start any video, like, warning, this video, everyone's watching.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's going to watch it.
Yep.
Like,
Without a doubt. Without a doubt.
So-
Verify your age, yep.
absolutely, man. It's the way that fucking works. So Evil Dead had this allure to it, this larger-than-life, like, mythology. Like, yo, did you hear of Evil Dead? So for me, I know you said you just saw this, but just... for the fans who have seen it a lot, it was one of those movies where you're like, you're not supposed to watch this. And the way everything's shot from like in the woods, it's definitely, I'm not saying amateur because Sam Raimi, the director, we share a last name, spelled different, but I've always liked him for that. He's a great director and he grew into himself, but it's definitely a different type of shooting. It feels like, I don't know, just unique. It's off the cuff. It's to itself. And you can't recreate that with a remake. The remakes look polished. They look like a Hollywood film, and that's cool. But this didn't. This looked like some like random, like who fucking made this? Like where is this from?
Well, it was kind of reminding me of the feeling I got from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It was back in the 70s.
Wow, great parallel.
Now, it was a lot, obviously now we're in the 80s. We got a lot more, technology has progressed within those few years. A lot more than
7
you would
years,
think.
yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so 7 years later. But they're still doing the same kind of shooting where it's like minimal music. They got a lot of POV shots. They put you in the POV of the slither of the branches or whatever's coming to get them. When you're in the cabin, it looks like you're there with the group, standing there watching them half the time. It's a lot of long, uncomfortable shots on the dead. It's all kinds of stuff like that. It's shot like that, and it gives you a very eerie feeling when you shoot something like that versus a polished Hollywood film, because then makes you feel like, obviously this is a movie, but there's some parts in this where the filming tricks you and it makes you think like you're so into it, you're forgetting that it's a movie for a second.
Yeah, you're like, what is this?
Now, that doesn't last long because obviously this is in the 80s and it's today, so it's going to get cheesy. But I can imagine back in the 80s when this first came out, how more intense this was to those people compared to what it is now.
Not only do I like your age recommendation, so we each have our strengths in life, and I don't care who you are. Obviously, I'm the quote-unquote horror nerd. Ozark Mark went to school for audio, video production. We made music for many years, so he knows that kind of stuff. I love to hear your fucking takes on, like, the shots, the shooting, like the lights, the whatever, because you usually come in with like a producer's mindset to things, and you'll be like, man, I don't know how they fucking shot that, whereas my mind's like, oh, sick, they're killing them, and you look at it kind of different through a different lens, and I fucking like that. You usually come in and like, you'll tell me things about movies that are right, like, and I might have known from like even like The Shining, like, oh, okay, yes, they use that like camera 1 inch from the ground, but like your brain picks that up already watching it. Like, how low is this fucking camera? Like, what's going on? Like, my brain doesn't pick that up. I can pick up different shots and different kind of things, and I do like to make film, but I love that like
filmmaker kind of perspective from it. So I agree, man, that the slither shots, that's a beautiful way to put it. I hadn't heard it put like that. But
I mean, especially when they're going over the lake.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I want you to think about this for a second, okay? Because a lot of people will go right past it, but when you really think about this, like the amount of shit they had to do to make that shot work. First of all, it's 1981. You know how big your cameras are? They're probably bigger than your fucking microwave or your fridge, for that
real.
matter. And you had to get it on a crane over a lake. Yo.
Picture what, like, if you could just go back, like, with, like, some, like, today's Chronic, and you could just go, like, first off, hit this. Yeah, I know, it's great. Hey, here's a drone. I'm going to teach you how to fly this son of a bitch, and here's this laptop.
This is 1981. They didn't use a goddamn drone for that. They had to physically do it. So, man, like, a lot of effort for this movie in the filming. I think that's what helps make it, not only the movie itself, but the way it's shot. And then a lot of people may not realize it, but it's that kind of nostalgia that they get from it that they don't realize. I think that's why this movie is so popular and why so many people gravitate towards it.
You know what the scenery shots remind me of?
What's that?
A more polished movie, but also an early pre-drone movie, so you appreciate how it's shot. The opening of The Shining.
Oh, yeah.
I like, they do this, like, weird, like, you know, the bum, bum, and they're going over the lake and the hills and the road. You kind of get the Evil Dead's a little creepier because it's the woods, and the woods are creepier already. And in The Shining, they were shooting in the daytime. But you really can respect those shots. Now, somebody could be on the top of the Empire State Building and something can go off all the way to the ground floor and you're like, yep, somebody's got a drone. And like your brain knows that. Mm-hmm. But when you do watch those old school city shots, you're like, this is either a helicopter or this is a plane or like, that was a whole fucking day. A helicopter?
Yeah.
Your gas isn't cheap, dog. Like, I mean, like, that's a whole day. And like, oh, you're afraid of heights? Good fucking luck. You got to get up there and shoot it. Not a drone. Who cares? You lose a drone, you know, you spend another couple $100, get a new one. Yeah. Not a big deal. No injuries, no loss. I really do like drone shots. I've never, aside from my son, he's got one. I've played with it or whatever, but I've never really fucked with them like from a filming perspective. But watching shots that you know are drone shots, they're fucking beautiful. And like, don't underappreciate them because that is very new. Not only is like if you were just to say in the history of human beings, movies are new. They're only like 100-something years old. And like, how old are fucking, I mean, thousands of years. So movies are new. But those drone shots are especially new. But you ain't kidding, man. You know, that took a lot of work. A lot of money to do that back then.
So that's what I'm thinking of when I'm watching this. I'm supposed to be watching and enjoying the movie, and then I just sit here, the opening going over a lake. They put something in the water to make it bubble and all this shit. Like, all that's fucking real. Like, that ain't no graphics. That ain't no CGI. Like, they had to physically do something. I was like, God damn. Mm-hmm. I was like, they went all out for this movie already, and it's been like 30 seconds.
There's another cool part. So this is, I'm not going to leave this for like a what do you know or a fact. I'm just going to... A lot of times with movies or early directors, what they'll do, as Ozark and I are going to do, they make shorts. And they'll make a short of an idea. So they'll say, you know, like, he made one for Evil Dead. Let me put it this way. Sam Raimi made, and it's called Into the Woods, I believe, and it was a short movie, like maybe 15, 20 minutes. He made a short movie and he sold it to people. Like, that was his little commercial, so to speak, to get investors. And that helped him. Actually, one of the Coen brothers, this was their first job ever, was as an executive producer, and that helped them. So you got to get your leg in the door. And then, obviously, you get into Evil Dead 2, and you can see that Sam Raimi got more comfortable with himself. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. You saw that Tobe Hooper kind of, all right, we're going to make this one a little more sillier and get into ourselves because this is who we are. But the amount of pretension and work, they said Sam Raimi worked so fucking hard on this movie that he passed out from like exhaustion or like blood sugar or like whatever the fuck it was, but he just wouldn't stop and he like fainted and they had to throw like ice water on him to bring him back. Because they did some like real pioneer shooting for this. They really were up in that cabin for a long fucking time. So no plumbing, no showering. These people were going through the fucking ringer. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, to make a movie... I love Leonardo DiCaprio, but do you think he would do that for a movie? I don't know if they would. You think Scarlett Johansson's going to do that? I don't know. And, I mean, we all know the answer, and I'm not trying to rag on those actors, but what I'm stating is you wouldn't have movies with this kind of weird feel and grit if you didn't have actors who were willing to like say, hey, I'm willing to go through the ringer. Like, they said that Bruce Campbell, or he said, like, he was so fucking, like, the blood had cemented on him, all the fake blood and all this shit, and he was so gross that he had to ride in the back of a pickup truck when they left the set all the way to, like, where he got. And he said he got in the shower and he, like, wasn't coming off then. He said it was a process to get all that shit off of him. Now, that's dedication. I think Leonardo DiCaprio would do it if Martin Scorsese was directing it and there was $30 million attached to it. But could you do that on a, hey, this might make it? No. Like, this dude's, like, his first film, so to speak. Obviously, he was, like, a filmmaker making shorts and whatever. But Evil Dead is Sam Raimi's first, like, fucking hit. Can you picture a first-time director like, all right, now, I'm going to need you to get soaked in this. And like, how much you paying me? $700 a day. Fuck, dude. All right. Fuck. All right. Like, it's just different. But Bruce Campbell? You're telling me that man's not an actor? What separates him? He's a great actor. He's been around for decades. And not to mention, the guy looks like a fucking Ken doll. He doesn't look real. Like, I'm not saying he's like I'm a straight guy. I'm not saying he's like a hot dude or anything, but he looks like a Tom Brady kind of guy where he doesn't look real. He's got like the jawline. It's like if aliens were to create a human, it would be him. Like, here's this guy. Like, I think this is, or if you went to like Asia and they said, all right, you got to simulate like what an American man looks like, they would make Bruce Campbell. Like it's him. Oh, here we go.
Dude, that's the perfect way to describe him, I swear. That is on the T. On the T.
And he still looks that way. Like, he's aged well as a guy. And he's just got that jawline, that body. You're like, damn, dude, I don't know if you've seen that How Many Shots video, but I turned him into a girl. And he's still at that same mug, dude. That jawline is so masculine.
That's because he was artificially created in a lab, dude.
Sorry, Bruce. You're too handsome to be normal. Sorry, brother.
You're so fucking normal looking. It's weird.
Yeah, dude. And let me tell you this.
Here.
Now, I've known a couple dudes named Ashley. If you're a dude named Ashley, and you're cool, I'm sorry. But the people I've known named Ashley, they weren't cool dudes. Ash is cool. And I used to, you remember I used to go by Chris for a long time. I didn't go by Christian. Mm-hmm. I didn't really start going by Christian until I heard girls get mad at me and yell my name. And I was like, okay, I like the ring of that. I like the ring of that coming off. Well, she yells Ashley at him a few times, and it was like, uh-oh, he's in trouble. Yeah. But he's a badass. He's the most badass dude with the girliest name in the whole entire world. I thought that was a super flex. Like, I mean, dude's name's Ashley, and he's out here fucking just destroying folks because it's not like he just only went by Ash. He went by both. And I thought that was gangster. Like, dude's name's Ashley, and he's the most masculine, most badass dude out here. Like, dude's taking folks out. Now, Ozark, do you remember that part where, because all of his friends turn, and I guess we should give, like, a little bit of dialogue on how So this girl, Cheryl, she's the fifth wheel. And first off, Ozark Mark, I would be a third wheel any day over a fifth wheel. A third wheel, if you've got good friends, like if I hung out with you and your wife, I don't think you're just going to be like, let's make out. You guys would like, all right, we're hanging out with someone, and I'm hanging out with you guys as a couple, and I appreciate you. Every once in a while it might get weird, like maybe in the later hours of the evening. But a third wheel isn't always a third wheel. Sometimes you can have fun. Like, the couple's like, all right, we can fuck on our own time. Let's hang out with whoever.
Sure.
But a fifth wheel.
Dude, a fifth wheel.
You're fucked.
Fifth wheel is horrible, dude. Look. A third wheel, okay, let's look at it at this philosophy, okay? A third wheel can make still things happen. It makes a tricycle. You can drive something with three wheels.
Strongest.
Strong. The fifth wheel is just in the trunk. It's on the back of the Jeep, getting fucking not doing anything. It's useless. Okay.
Look, dude, it's horrible because you're gonna have two couples there, and the couples are gonna compete against each other because it's human nature. Couples get around each other, they compete, and that's what they do. Your wife's gonna bitch to you about the other couple when you get in your fucking car, or they're gonna have some smart ass fucking remark. That's the way it works. And then they're gonna outcompete each other, and they're gonna try to show more affection than each other. So they are gonna fuck, and you're gonna be there by yourself while these two couples are fucking loud. And there's nothing you can do about it except just deal with it. Oh my God, did you see the way she was talking? She's just annoying. Like, I don't know why she...
Stop it. Shut up.
He deserves better.
You're not wasting time on this podcast with fucking reliving that thought. Stop it.
So
we got the idea the fifth wheel's horrible. Okay.
Bro, yeah, it is. So Cheryl... Of course she's the fifth wheel. She has some weird drawing scenes where her hand looks really fucking weird, and she's drawing this book, which ends up being the book of Necronomicon. Very cool
as soon
book.
as that happened. Okay. Well, first of all, never mind, go on.
So she goes out into the woods because obviously everyone's fucking. You're not going to sit there and listen to everybody fucking. And she's a weird girl to begin with. She's probably the most annoying.
She does the typical horror movie thing. Like, she hears something outside and decides to go investigate it like an idiot.
She's out there in the woods like, I know you're out there. I heard you earlier. At this point, tree branches and vines come out, tie her up, bind her up on the ground, and then a tree penetrates her vagine. Full-on tree rapage. And, that's just what happens. I'm not making this up. This isn't my brain.
No, that's really what happened. This bitch got raped by a tree. Or branches. Now, I will say this. I am a horror fan, of course, but I can mostly do without... Now, I understand that rape is one of the scariest things for human beings, male and female. Rape is scary, so you gotta obviously put that in horror movies because you're trying to put the fear out. I can do without most rape scenes. I'm not going to sit through most rape scenes, but if you're going to if you got to put a rape scene in there... This is probably one of the better ones because it's a fucking tree.
Yeah, it does. It makes it funny.
It's almost comical. Like
it's not almost. It is comical.
It is comical, and it's not like over the top. Like you can see it as comical as like, okay, it's a fucking tree. It's almost a joke at that point. But like some of those other rape scenes, like the last house on the fucking left, the hills have eyes, the camel corpse, fucking rapes. Like those are fucking unnecessary.
Those are rough.
They're rough. They're unfucking necessary. But this is an okay rape of a tree.
And it became a whole subgenre. I mean, rape revenge is a whole subgenre. So you're not joking. The only plus with like Last House on the Left, I do like how the parents came back. Like that's really fucked, just like in a nutshell. But that is really fucked. But that is kind of cool how it's like a win for mom and dad.
Right.
It's like, all right, yeah, somebody fucks with your kids. This is what you get, you little sons of bitches. Like,
right.
My daughter is she's fucked up, but she's gonna live. But you ain't, because your head's in a microwave, you little bitch. Like, like I liked that.
Yeah.
But the guy's name's Ashley. He's looking like a fucking supermodel. We have some tree rapage going on, okay, with Cheryl. Now, that's not Ash's girlfriend. He came with Linda. Linda, she's in the Michigan State sweatshirt. Bro, we talked at the Pet Cemetery scene or episode on how much you dislike injuries to the ankle region.
Oh, the
dog.
Achilles, the heel, dude. They did it again.
Stabbed a pencil through her ankle, dude. Like that was rough, and it still looks rough. You're like, ow.
It's 1981, dude. You can tell it's cheesy. It's obviously cheesy looking. Like you can tell that that's a fake ankle and all that, but still. That is fucking brutal, man.
A weird place to be stabbed, dude, with a pencil, because that's not like hygienic. That's not coming in and out. There's like lead in there. Like it's not good.
There aren't many things you get stabbed with that are hygienic.
At least with the knife, you're like you're going in and out, and you're like, okay, I got stabbed with the knife.
Yeah,
now
but
it's
she
gone.
Fucking like twisted it and all that.
That was a rough one, dude. Honestly, out of all the carnage in this whole movie, that might be the one that gets me the most, is the pencil through the ankle.
That's the worst carnage for me, for sure, right there.
Because it's the side ankle, and it's like right behind it, like so in between the bone and like your back heel, just like, I'm going to spin this around real quick. You're like, no! And then she gets like pushed around, and then she eventually like just dies, like fucking die, which she wouldn't normally, like from these like she dies. So she comes back as this like fucking possessed bitch, like, you know. But through all the shit she went through, I guess she was warranted death. I guess so. Are you
talking about Cheryl or are you talking about Linda?
I'm sorry, Linda.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, the one that got stabbed in the ankle. So Cheryl initially turned and freaked everybody out. One of the best scenes in the movie. So, you know, they're sitting, what was that? Sally, was that her name? Fucking Sally? Shelly, I'm sorry. Shelly, because she's the least played character in it. Shelly and Linda are playing cards. They're trying to like guess what cards they fucking have. Well, then all of a sudden this bitch fucking standing in a corner starts guessing all the cards. And they're like, whoa, what's going on? What's going on? Cheryl has turned into like a demon. Mm-hmm. Dude, that was one of the most terrifying scenes to me as a kid. Because I watched this pretty young. And like, you're not expecting that. Now, like, going in, knowing Evil Dead is legendary, knowing, like, all right, some shit's about to pop off. I've heard the rumors about this. This is going to be good. But, like, just initially, watching a movie, everything's pretty cool at that point. Just some people going up and hanging out in the woods. They have dinner at this little cabin. This girl trips out, like, why have you woken us up from our sleep? Like, you're like, uh-oh. She starts floating. And then she stabs Linda in the fucking ankle.
I like how after she floats, she falls to the ground, and all of them are just standing there, like, not freaking out.
I know!
How are you not Hold on. How are you not freaking out? How are you not panicking? How are you not talking to each other about what the fuck just happened right there?
They took it so blasé.
Oh, I know. God, I don't know. I liked how they locked her in the cellar, though, and she was just up, just watching them the entire time.
Bro.
Just fucking with them.
Scott decked her shit. Here's the thing with Scott. Like, there's characters like Scott in movies, and you know who, if I had to liken him from anybody, it would be Shane from Walking Dead. Now, everybody knew that Shane and Scott, they're kind of assholes, and they're kind of like, they're not going to survive in the long run because they're like too macho and they're trying too fucking hard. But there are certain occasions where you need them, and they like super come through, and they have like those hero moments. And like, Ash is pinned underneath this bookshelf, and Cheryl is coming at him with all this demon shit. And Scott grabs like, you need to calm down, Cheryl. And like, she just wouldn't. So he takes this gun and hits her with the butt of it and just knocks her shit. Or no, I'm sorry, it was an axe, wasn't it? Knocks her shit down. And he fucking knocks her into the cellar and closes it. Like, fuck you. Like, we ain't dealing with you.
Scott had one of the best lines. I saw it and I was like, yep, that's something I would say.
Dude, I didn't want to say that you were a Scott character because I thought you'd take offense, but
no,
you are.
I saw why I'd be a Scott's character is because after that happened, I guess somebody else, I think it's after Shelly dies, and he says like, I'm getting the fuck out of here, and then Ash is like, well, what about Linda? He's like, that's your girlfriend. I don't give a fuck what happens to her.
He says, I'm getting out of here.
I don't give a fuck what happens to her. And that's something I totally would say if we were younger and this girlfriend, you only had this girlfriend, like, I don't know, like, you know,
a week,
early stages. I was like, I don't give a fuck about her. No, that's obviously different now because if it was Rachel, I'd be like, I'm not leaving. But I was like, that would have been me. 10 years ago, that would have been me. I swear to God.
100%.
100% it would have been fucking me.
What? You know what's funny about Scott, too? He has a laugh like this. Like his jaw moves every time he laughs.
Dude, he was so... Dude, he had the savagest line. It was like over the top, like fucking ridiculously mean
That's
for no
the
reason.
stupidest thing I've ever heard.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. An animal, that's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard. Like, oh, wow. Like, that was actually kind of logical, Scott. I don't think that deserved to freak out. I mean, you're in the woods, could have been an animal.
I love the, and this happens all the time with dialogue, and I think that's the disconnect with younger generations. Like, honestly, I mention this often, but like a post 9/11 world, everybody's questioning everything, and we're really literal. But if you were to go back into the 20s or something, it'd be like, what's going on with you, you tomato head? What's wrong with you? And you'd be like, fuck you, bitch. How about I kill your whole family? I'd be like, oh, gee, what's wrong with this guy, see? he's acting like a real ruckus, isn't he? Like, you're like, whoa, that's not that offensive. Like, whereas nowadays, you're like, why don't you go fuck yourself? Like, you know, it's way different. But back in the 80s, they had this, like, and even before, just like, hey guys, what's going on? Or even like with your Halloween, totally. Like just that like, yeah man, I'm down for a good time. Why do you gotta act crazy, man? Calm down with the bad vibes. Like everybody was real like, they didn't have the fucking internet. Nowadays they're like, people are like, I wanna go home. Like I can watch porn, I can watch Evil Dead, I got all kinds of shit I can do at home. It's hard to go out now. Whereas back then, it's like, let's put a bunch of beer in our trunk and let's go find a field and drink and bang in, because there's nothing to do.
Wow.
We have nothing to do. So there was like a real like laid back, naive kind of, hey guys, what's going on kind of talk. And that wasn't fake. That is a very literal thing on how people were. Like people were that's not bad acting. People were that, hey man, she's had enough. Why don't you calm down? Like, that was real. That's how people talked. Nowadays, it's like, hey, I told you to fucking stop. Like, people are different now. It's got a lot more sting to it. Back in those days, it wasn't that way. You know what? You've made a real ass out of yourself. That would be some, like, whoa. Like, you really went far. So, I don't know, man. If you're watching this, don't judge the year it came out and confuse it with how good the dialogue is, because that's really how people were.
No,
like,
you gotta keep in mind that the year came out and try to put yourself, like you used to do, try to put yourself in that year and try to look at it and just appreciate the nostalgia of it. I mean, it's fun watching these old movies, see how things were back in the day.
Can I ask you a quick question?
No, you can't, because I'm trying to figure out things that you know about this movie here.
Okay.
Hubbabaloo and howdy do, musty prawns and Timbuktu. Kick him in the dishpan, hoo hoo hoo. Welcome to the world. Welcome to the What Do You Know here. This is a segment here, but we're here to tell you something that you may or may not know about this movie here. Now let's recap what's gonna happen here. So if you're none familiar with what we know, you're about to find out what we know. But if you know what we know, we're gonna know together. And we're gonna know what's gonna hold a we know gasm. The nice WKG all up in your vajayz or but say EZ, whichever one you take it in. Yeah, right there. Spit as lube. Spit no fist. That's too. Alright, stop doing those things. Stop doing those things here. So, let's get into it here. I'm gonna start out with a fucking fact that I may or may not know about this movie here.
Lay it on me, baby.
So, in this movie here, there's a scene where they find the tape in the basement. They bring the tape recorder back up, and they're sitting around, in the living room listening to it.
Yeah. They thought it was all a big joke.
Yeah, they thought it was all a ha-ha funny.
Hey,
a funny ha-ha. Well, the thing was they originally wanted to do is they wanted them to sit around and get high while they were listening to it for the movie, of course, because that's what
some marijuana.
Yeah, that's what teenagers do, or whatever all these fucking people are.
I don't remember them getting high, Mark. I don't remember.
No, go, because there was a problem, because they had to reshoot it because they got so fucking high they were ruining it. So they had to reshoot it.
Also, they did get high.
They did get high, but it was like a bunch of high people fucking it up, giggling. It didn't work. They're trying to make a fucking scary scene, and the people are just giggling, fucking it all up. So it didn't fucking work here.
So they had to redo it.
They had to redo it. That's my fact. What do you know about this movie here?
Look. Now here's a big deal. This is a first timer here. Now we have a what do you know fact that ties in with one of our previous what do you know facts. So this is like a double we know gasm. This is like watching the same video 10 times and getting off over and over. This is like your best highlight. Do you remember a little movie called A Nightmare on Elm Street that we talked about?
Yeah, I know what the fuck that movie is.
My favorite horror movie of all time. So there was a fact within that movie that we laid down, and what do you know? where we stated inside of that movie, Nancy, she's trying to fight sleep because this awful guy, Freddy Krueger, he's trying to get her in her dreams. So she's staying up, she's drinking coffee, but she's watching a movie. She's watching a particular movie. And we laid down in that episode that movie was Evil Dead. But why would Wes Craven put an Evil Dead inside of his smash hit A Nightmare on Elm Street? Well, there is a scene in Evil Dead where initially, before anything crazy happens, Scott goes looking in the basement for that animal. He's a prankster, so he doesn't reemerge, and then his friends are like, uh-oh, where's Scott? Where's he at? He's in the basement. So, of course, Ash, being the man that he is, he goes down. He says, I'll find my friend. You ladies stay here. I'll keep you safe.
You broad, stay up there.
Right. So he goes down. Of course, his friend Scott gives him the boo. He scares him. But then they start to find all this stuff that was left in the basement. Well, if you look very closely in the background, there is a movie poster. And that movie poster, do you know what it is?
I'm guessing it's A Nightmare on Elm Street.
No, it's not, because that movie did not exist yet in 1981. But
That's
do you
true.
know what did? The Hills Have Eyes. So there's a Hills Have Eyes poster in the background. It's like cut in half, but you see it back there. And Sam Raimi, he was the one that started this show of respect. This movie's 1981. Wes Craven thus far only had Last House on the Left. He had, The Hills Have Eyes, but he wasn't the Wes Craven that was Wes Craven. So this was a pretty nice shout out. This was like not an old Wes Craven where you're like, well, you're a horror legend, sir. This was a little, tip of the hat from a fellow, worker. This was a peer. This was a peer who said, I admire your work enough that I'm gonna put your shit in my shit. This was Sam Raimi's first smash, so he didn't have to do that. He didn't have to do that at all. But he did, and it worked. And Mr. Wes Craven, being the gentleman that he is, he saw that. He says, you know what, I'm gonna put your whole fucking movie clip in my movie. How do you feel about that? You son of a bitch.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
So what do you think? You got something else? Do you know anything
Yeah,
else?
I think I know something else here about this movie here real quick.
Okay.
Yeah. So, all right, so there's the scene where it's the melting corpse, right? This is where he throw the book in the fire, everybody starts melting.
Yeah.
Right? So what they used to melt this corpse.
Yeah.
Very interesting, very fucking interesting. They used oatmeal, they used snakes, they used cockroaches. And they also put some claymation in there, obviously, because it looks like fucking Play-Doh. But they used those things to create the infamous melting corpse. What a creative thing. Who thinks of that? Who thinks, I'm going to use some oatmeal, I found some snake out back, and there's probably some cockroaches I could put together. They moved it. Well, you see the cockroaches in it, but...
being a part of this show, I never at once thought that we would talk about animal wrangling. But
No.
we have talked about animal and insect wrangling quite often.
Right.
Who knew?
What are you gonna do here? Who the fuck know?
What are you gonna
What are you gonna do here?
You know what, though?
What you got? You got something else here real quick?
You know what? Evil Dead deserves 4 facts.
All right, we'll go for it there.
It deserves 4 facts.
4 facts.
So, this was shot in Morristown, Tennessee. And as Bruce Campbell has stated, some of this was filmed in 1979. So this movie took a little bit to come out. Not only that, but this was late 70s, early 80s, deep in the South. The South was still the South. We don't have internet towers. We don't have cell phones. Things were different. There weren't chain restaurants. Things weren't as big as they used to be back then. So there were some creepy elements to it, right? Well, this cabin that they shot this shit in was a real-life haunted cabin. So what had happened? There's a legend, there's a story, the people that lived there before. There was a mom, a grandma, and a little girl. Okay, big storm happens. Little girl wants to go snuggle in with mom. She goes into mom's room and sees mom is dead. She freaks out, terrified. Goes to grandma's room. She's fucking dead too. So the girl runs out, storms out, finds nearest neighbors, God knows where. And, they took care of her for the rest of her life. But nobody lived there until that movie was shot there.
That's fucking weird.
It's real life.
Why are they both dead? What'd they do?
I don't know. I don't know the details of all of it, but that's the story of this. Now, if this was some hocus pocus that Sam and the boys tried to come up with,
I'm pretty sure that's some hocus pocus.
I don't know, but like I've read multiple different things that make me feel like it's convincing. But one thing I can say is that apparently all these guys, this is like a little sidebar, extra fact too. Apparently all the guys from the production company, they put all like this like what do you call those things where you like a timestamp thing, a time capsule where you bury it in the ground and you dig it up another year later, years later.
Yeah.
Well, they put one of those from the production set inside of the fireplace. Now this house has been torn down since then, but the fireplace is still there.
The fireplace is still there?
Yeah.
That's fucking weird.
Fucking weird.
It's pretty fucking weird.
So who knows? Maybe it's there. I'm sure fans have probably gone and tried to dig it up by now, but who knows?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. You gotta be sure about that. So, wow. What a fucking fact. A set of fact here's. You got a quadruple.
Facts.
You got to connect 4. You got a Blake Maislin number of facts here. So good for you. Fantastic.
They don't even know about that.
Well, they're gonna
from
figure it out.
Cincinnati.
They don't look. Shut up. It don't matter. Okay, call 444. He just
Four,
his
four,
his
four.
phone number is 4, and that's it. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
Just keep hitting it and you'll get him. Just keep pressing 4. You'll get him.
How you know you got Blake Maislin? You press 4 the right amount of times.
Get out of here, dog.
All right.
There's a dog in here.
There's
Whose
a dog in
is
here.
this?
What the
Whose
fuck
dog
is this? We gotta go.
We gotta go. Apparently Bert and Ernie were lovers. It's a lot to drop on me.
That is a lot to drop on me too.
They were lovers.
I mean, I'm not,
Who would? I mean,
it's not. I'm not against it, but I'm like,
Sure.
I didn't know that.
sure. But who would have thunk it?
I don't know, man. It's a very strange world here. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
But I feel like I know a lot more things now.
Hulkamania.
Those
comes
guys are
running
great.
wild
Those
on
guys
you.
are great. I'm
They
telling
are.
you.
They are.
They know so many things. We've got a lot of comments. People saying they feel smarter. They learn more than they have on anything else on the Sloppy Horror podcast.
Every time
No.
they leave, it smells like cigars and deli meats. But I do enjoy their facts.
Good amount of salami in there.
A lot of gabagool. They come in here eating all the meats.
Yeah. Pepperoni.
Mark,
Yes.
I really want to know.
Sure.
I really have some ideas about this, but I want to know if you had to break this down, dog. What part stands out to you as your favorite, or what part, like, in 10 years from now, if I says, hey, if you never were to watch this again, if I was to says, hey, Evil Dead, what part's immediately grabbing your brain?
Well, I'm gonna go with one. It's not my I'll say this is my favorite part, but it's a very odd reason. It's not my usual reason. Now, I have other parts that made me laugh, of course, so those are my favorite parts. But my favorite part is the possession scene where it's Cheryl getting possessed for the first time, and then she floats up and she gives her spiel. Mm-hmm. The reason is because we've used to, back in our teenage years, this is when I was going around buying CDs. This is where I had a CD booklet. This is where I had to pick out and physically choose and hit the track to figure out the next song I want. It's not as easy.
That wicked shit.
Yeah. And that whole spiel, that little speech she does while she's floating, there are so many songs that I've listened to that have that quotes in them from that.
That little sample. Yeah.
You will die. We will take you one by one. We will take you. That when I saw that scene,
It did weird shit to your brain. I bet.
when you ever know when when people say your life flashes before your eyes, like I literally went down a rabbit hole and I was just getting random memories of me rolling in my first car, listening to those songs that have those sampled from Twisted, Brother Lynch, Hong, fucking all those people. There's a ton of people that took samples from this movie. So I just went down I always go through a memory hole of things that, like memories that I didn't even know I still fucking remembered, that they shot through me real quick and then I was instantly back. So it's that scene that really I think is my favorite, just because it took me on that rabbit hole. Like, I was picturing my whole book of CDs. I got my CDs in a box. I haven't seen them in fucking years. You know what I mean?
You still got them?
I still got them. They're in a box.
Oh, sorry. Can I just like thumb through them one time? I don't want to take any out. I just want to like that feeling again.
No, you can
I used
come-
to be his like, because when you remember that responsibility is like is riding shotgun. You were the fucking DJ. Obviously, if the driver wanted something in, they'd put that in. But for the most part, you're a DJ, dog. Here's the book.
Yeah.
These are my CDs, so I like everything in there.
Yeah.
Like,
And I had a shit ton of CDs, and I
Dude,
remember
you
always
did.
going to buybacks and CD warehouse and all that stuff, trying to find the collections and find the CDs. So it took me back to that time period, that scene where she gets possessed, which is weird, but that's my favorite part.
that is really cool, man. I really like that. I guess in a nutshell, or like just.
But I'm going to say one more.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
very
No,
quick
I want to
one.
hear it. Tell
It's a
me
very
all
quick
of
one.
them. Like,
It's a
I want to
very
hear
quick
all
one.
of them.
There's another one that makes me laugh all the way. It's when Linda is sitting on the floor and just doing her laugh, which I'm pretty sure Sherry Moon Zombie stole that laugh and made it. That's where she inspired from. I swear to God.
Yeah, I can see that.
But she's laughing there, and Ash is just going around. He's like, "Shut up!
He starts hitting them.
Shut up!" Just yelling, "Shut up!" at these people, because I would totally do that, and I'm just laughing.
He starts beating the shit out of her at
And I'm
one
like,
point.
"Shut up! Shut up!" Like, I would totally do that, man. It's so fucking funny because I see myself doing that. Like, I do that now. Like, when the dog is just whining or an animal's making noise, a cat's just meowing. Like, so long, just meowing at a door for no reason. Shut up!
Ozark Mark is the most dadliest non-dad in the world. There are certain situations I would love to see played out. Like, if there was a prank show, I would never put you in it, but it would be funny hypothetically if somebody did. Like, you remember that show Boiling Points?
Yeah.
I would pay to see you in that because you're a polite guy. Like, you're not like straight asshole, but just to see your face because I know you. There would be no one on this planet that would be laughing like I would. My family does the same shit to me. I remember I came back one time. I was like, dude, I was going through McDonald's and I told the guy and he laughed at me. He said, whoa, 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 you're going way too fast. And then I had to reorder. And like, I was telling that story to my family, and they all started laughing because they're like, we just know you, and like, we know how you were. I'm like, fuck you guys. Like, I'm not that fun. We are that funny. And I could just imagine you in those situations, and this Evil Dead, if Mark was put in this situation, God damn it! Like, shut up! Be quiet! Like, you'd be smacking me, your wife, everybody. You all need to be quiet! Get in line! Like, sis! Like, I would love to see that with Ozark Mark. He's just, when you push
dude.
nice people to their edge.
I would be so pissed because I probably didn't even want to go to the fucking cabin in the first place. So now we're stuck out here with possessed zombies fucking possessing all y'all because one of you had to find a fucking tape and play it. Oh, man. But anyways.
How about that Beetlejuice bridge, though? Like, from the first moment of, like, we almost fell through the bridge... Like, I would not have drove over that. I would have parked and walked.
I would have reversed back and just said, fuck this. Because
I'll park here and we'll hop over. I'm not driving a 3,000-pound vehicle with all of our bodies
Over
and
plywood.
all of our shit. One already broke, bro. Like, no. Like, we're not in a smart... No. Like, that part gives me more real-life anxiety than anything. You're just like, the tire went out. Oh, my God. Oh,
well, this is dude, this is textbook horror, man. This is horror filming by the book here. Everything.
Car didn't start when they tried to leave.
It's by the book, man. It's by the book. What's real quick, what's your favorite part, Christian Amy? I don't think we went over yours.
If I really had to go over a favorite part, it would be Ash's realization that he has to go badass. Because honestly, Scott's the asshole friend.
Yeah.
He's the one that's a little more verbal. Ashley, the sweet man in the chambray shirt, just being nice to everyone, being nice to his girl. He got a present for her. That was a funny scene, by the way, the climactic music where she's trying to steal the present, whatever. You're like, okay. But you're like, okay. You're like, okay. I don't know why love scenes make me do that, but you're like, all right. Even if it's within horror, I'm like, okay. But He buys her a necklace. He's a super nice guy. Like, he's like the nicest, dude. And he's even nice to the fifth wheel. Like, when this girl gets tree raped and runs back into the house, and she's like, Ashley, we're leaving right now. I have to go. And he says, okay, I'll take you back into town. But just listen to what you're saying. Like, and that was like the most like, I don't know, everybody, like, if you have a wife, a girlfriend or whatever, like, you know damn well you say the wrong things sometimes, and you're just like, will you just get over it? Or like, you'll say something to that effect. That was like the nicest. He was like, just listen to what you're saying.
Well, I think it's the tone thing, because I feel like when a woman's mad, if you match her tone, no matter what you say, she could be mad as hell at you. You could be the same tone. Be like, I just won $1 million. It would still be mad. It would still continue the fight, no matter what you say.
Babe, you did just kill somebody.
I love you. It doesn't matter. It's the same tone. Like, they see that same tone as a shot back, no matter what it is you say. But he played it cool. He was like, but listen to what you're saying. Like,
exactly.
It's calm.
So I would say my favorite is like, I mean, it's kind of a long transition, I guess, but where he finally is just snaps and he's just like, you know what? Fuck it. Like, when you push a nice guy too far, there's something about that in all movies that's very, I mean, everybody can relate with that for the most part. Because I would say, yes, there are trash people, but for the most part, if you were to group together a stadium of people, I would assume a majority of them are not going to be murdering and killing each other. And like, they might be rude, but there is a human basis. But like, Ashley's like the nicest, like, he's like exceptionally nice, and Ash manages to get pushed to his fucking limit. And he snaps to the point where he's smacking people, killing people, cutting people up with a chainsaw. The woman he brought out, he's like, I'm going to cut you up with a chainsaw and bury you.
I love how he gets so sick of her laughing that he just picks her up and just puts her outside and then goes back in the cabin.
That's a laugh. Go outside.
That'd be something I'd do too. Oh.
So I really enjoyed that part of it all. But if I had to say, like, it's not even my favorite, like, specific scene. I really enjoy the concept of the book of the Necronomicon and the tape. I thought that was very interesting, and that, like, kind of grasped me, even as not corny, when I'm watching it now, when because when they find a tape, it's like a professor or something, and he's like, man, I'm stuck in this cabin.
Yeah, well, the tape is the great part. It's a great fucking part. And the book itself, there's sweet artwork in it. Like, they put a lot of time, like, those aren't printed out. Like, somebody drew those in that book, and wow. I mean, it's sick artwork in that book.
I may have discussed this with you before, but I didn't have older brothers, and I didn't really have much family, but I did have older cousins, and like, they ended up moving to Pittsburgh, so like, we separated, but they were there for those crucial years, and I could really thank them for a lot of my horror fandom, because they were a little bit older, a few years older, and some like 8 years, 9 years older, so they were showing me shit I wasn't supposed to. But I remember occasionally after they moved to Pittsburgh, I would go and like hang out on summers. And I was probably like 11 or 12, and I went up there, not with my parents or anything, just by myself, went to stay with my cousins, my aunt and uncle. And I remember respecting my cousin's DVD collection to like the craziest regard. Like, it was just very influential to me, like, in who I am now. But he had the Evil Dead, like, I don't know if it was just the movie or the box set, but it was the book of Necronomicon. It was like leather, and it had the skin, and it looked so cool. And I just remember, like, because at that point I had seen the movie, knew it, and loved it. I was just obsessed. I want to get that. I'm sure there's some fans out there, and I'm sure I can find it on eBay for next to nothing. But holy fuck, dude, it was the coolest thing ever. And, like, just the book itself, like, bound in human skin, written in human blood, like, I don't know, man.
It's like just a dope thing. Like, any horror fan will gravitate towards that. I see it.
I want to put that fucking thing up on the shelf back here. Like, I want the book of Necronomicon. That just sounds badass. Yeah. So that's probably, like, if you were to say Evil Dead, what's your favorite part of all of it, or what's the most influential part? It's that book. Being in the summer, being an 11-year-old kid, going to my cousin's, just be like, oh, sweet. Like, I got to watch this. Like, so, yeah, that's it. That's what I like about it.
That's great. That's great.
Can I, look, you know
great.
what's first, Ozark Mark?
What's that?
Now, this is going to be brief, too. This is a brief segment, too, because we warned you guys. We started with Monster Squad to give it for the kids.
Uh-huh.
To give it for the kids.
That's right.
I want you to give a parental rating here, but I would be surprised if you said anyone under adult age. But, like, we have to do it now because now the people are going to expect it and they will mention it. So, Ozark Mark, you got kids in your possession that aren't yours, but you're watching movies. What age would you say, yeah, they'll be all right with Evil Dead?
If I'm there watching it with them, right? Those are the rules, too?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to look at it. Now, if this was back in 1981, this would be a different completely answer. A completely different answer. Sorry, I can't fucking talk.
It's all right. It's late in the day.
But I'm thinking, when I thought about this, I'm thinking of today's children, today's kids, today's youths. And all the technology they got, all the things they see.
Sure.
All the stuff they got. So there's some sexual stuff in this, but all there is 3 titties total, okay? And there is a scene where a girl gets raped by a tree. Now, most younger folks, that'll probably go right over their fucking head. They probably just think the tree stabbed her and then she became possessed.
Yeah, you don't see a vagina.
No,
or anything.
you don't
It's
see anything
implied.
like that. And then now there is the violence part of it. Because I don't think this movie is technically scary. Because the scariest parts to me in this movie are when they play the tape and the possession part, the first possession part. Those are the only scary really parts. The rest of the stuff is just gory, lots of zombie yelling like back in Call of Duty. It sounds like Call of Duty zombies to me, those fucking noises.
I think they got this from this for sure.
They would have to. So I think the gore isn't that bad because it looks cheesy nowadays, and today's kids will see it as cheesy. You know what I mean? It's 80s violence. Like, it's not realistic looking at all. I think 14 is a great age to where they won't be fucked up from it, and anything that you are scared about, they'll probably overlook and not worry about it.
That's a fair answer.
Because 14-year-olds have... I guarantee you every kid that is 14 has seen some kind of porn way worse than anything that's in this movie. They have video games and all this shit and other movies they've watched that have extremely violent fucking shit that looks way more realistic than the stuff in this movie.
True.
And it's just, I don't think anybody would really can lose sleep over this, honestly. So I'm going to go with 14. Because I think that by this time they're mature enough, and this is the age where you the average child gets excited about seeing horror movies that they're technically not supposed to see.
Now I'm going to remember what you just said, going into our fear segment. Now I have a different light to look at that, but I'm not disregarding your answer because 14 is a great age. I think 14 is actually perfect, and we always mention it depends on your kid. And, kids have a lot more fucked up shit they're seeing. I don't know, dude. I'm really ambivalent about it because, like, kids are softer these days, but because of us. We don't let them out as often as we used to. We used to do a lot more fucked up shit, but, like, we would watch fucked up shit, too, but kids have more access. But you would think that they would... I'm not saying that there aren't kids who do access it more, but, like, they aren't like we were. Like, we were bad. Our generations wanted to smoke cigarettes. We wanted to run towards things. And I'm not saying you don't have your bad apples now, but, like, obviously I have kids. I monitor what they do. And they're, like, way less bad than we were. And I'm not saying that, like, okay, maybe that's a test to my parenthood. But, like, I'm saying from, like, their friends and, like, the kids that I see, they're softer because they're inside more. And it is different. So I think 14's fair because I think 14 is, like, that age where... You think you're hot shit, but it all depends. But can we just dance right into this rating?
Sloppy horror rating, baby, yeah!
Oh, my goodness gracious. You have made it to the Sloppy Horror Rating. Welcome, everybody. This is the segment where we are going to rate this movie. Not as a movie in general, but as a horror movie. If you stop fucking with the lights when I'm trying to do this. You're distracting me, you son of a bitch.
I just wanted to make it look cool.
Stop it. Production is not your job. I will throw something at you again.
It wasn't me.
I have
actually.
candles now, and these fuckers are fucking...
Yeah, now that'll take me
This
out.
will take you out.
You're going to have to
understand?
do the rest of the show.
Now I lost my spot. Okay, we're rating it as a horror movie, not as a movie in general. So we're going to do this in a series of 4 categories. 3 categories worth 3 points. Last category is worth 1 point, just to put it in there, for a total of...
10 points altogether.
That's correct. So let's go on to the first category here in the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating, and that is casting.
Yeah. Well,
Pay
look,
attention.
Ozark Mark. There was something in my drink. I
Well,
don't know
pay
what-
attention, damn it. I just segged you in there.
Okay, so we're talking about casting here.
Son of a bitch.
This is going to be a fair assessment.
Okay.
It's going to be a fair assessment, and I don't want you people to be mad at me.
What do you mean, you people?
I-
I've been wanting to say that forever. I've never had the chance to say it.
At first, I was like, "What? Are you like some crazy Evil Dead guy?" Like, I got what you meant. All right. I'm gonna be really fair about this. This is a 1.5. I think everybody does well on camera, and I think Bruce Campbell is 1.
Yeah.
And the other people are 0.5, but there aren't enough actors and actresses. There's no fucking crazy scene where I'm like, oh, wow, this person's being put through the rigors and they're showing me something besides Ash.
There's literally just 5 people in this movie. That's it.
And they work together. It's not like anything's unbelievable, but 1.5 is more than fair.
I think so. Mm-hmm. I see what you're coming at with that. Mm-hmm. Compared to the other 3s. I mean, come on. So, that's 1.5 out of 10 so far here. Let's go on to the second category here in the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating, and that is kills.
Hands down a 3. So
tree.
It's a tree for sure because
It's a tree.
there's all kinds of fucking and not only kills, but the gore there's so much blood. There's so much. Most of the crux of this movie is the gore and the special effects and how over the top things are. Now, I'm not saying there's a crazy amount of deaths, but the amount it takes to, when they die into real people, like when the real people die, and then those are cool enough deaths, but to have to kill their zombie version, or like whatever the fuck you want to call these people, oh my God.
Yep.
3 for sure. This is a treat for sure, because there's like, it just is an onslaught. It just keeps going. It is death the whole time.
Yeah.
You cannot kill these people. And so their deaths take 15, 20 minutes, some of them. So it's like...
They do. These are some of the longest deaths ever. And they're always loud, too.
Yes.
It's a loud, long death. You gotta keep the volume button at... You gotta keep the volume button on hand because it will fucking wake up your neighborhood if you're on 12.
Fucked without a sound bar with this movie. Like, do not watch this to fall asleep because you won't
fall asleep.
You won't have nightmares because like the movie's scary and you're having nightmares because you're thinking about it. Like, you'll fall asleep and just the soundtrack in the background. I don't know what you're dreaming about, but it's not chill.
No.
Like, it's not
It's not.
chill. Like, you're like running.
All right, so we got 4.5 out of 10 so far. Let's go on to the third and final category here in the Sloppy Horror Podcast rating, and that is fear. Is this movie a scary movie?
Mark, we have the nostalgia conversation all the time. Good examples are Star Wars and wrestling. If you're a grown adult who likes Star Wars or wrestling, you were probably into it as a child. And you may run into difficulty trying to get another grown adult to share the same love for something that you had as a child because the nostalgia for there is not with them. Now, Ozark Mark has a great ability of putting himself inside of the year of when a movie come out, and he had mentioned many times that this is 81, gave a lot of applause for it. But Ozark Mark watched this movie in 2021, so I cannot hold that against him. This movie ruined a lot of people's sleep. This movie fucked a lot of people up. this movie was over the top for how bad it fucked people up. Like, this was like one of the top tier ruined people's lives movies, because this was a sleepover movie. Like, we're gonna put this on, and from like the possession scene, we say, from like, people did not know how to take that. Now, you and I can watch gore like it's nothing. The funny part is, you put on Marley and Me where the dog dies, you and I would be like, oh my God, my heart. We'd be busted up. But you could put on Evil Dead, Hostel, whatever, we'll eat lasagna.
Well, I see why it would, because there's a lot of gore, and then you have the possession idea, which possession is still one of the scariest things of all time since the beginning of time, since it's AD or BC, with AD with after Christ,
Before Christ.
Yeah, but after
AD.
Whenever the Bible came out. Okay?
It's technically AD does not mean after death, but it does mean after death.
Okay,
kinda.
well, after that, since AD, possession has been the scariest thing, probably to human beings, and you have this in that. And then you got the gore and the loud noise and all that. So all that, I see, can fuck people up for sure.
And I think it was the pioneer way of shooting. It was something different, someone's idea that you mentioned before. Like, it's like kind of a lack of music. And the noises you do hear are not common. They were done on some kind of soundboard. There's weird screams, weird woods noises.
Dude, like
yes, like that.
Just that constant knocking when he's walking up to the cabin. I don't know how you could make that any more creepier than just having simply just a constant knock sound. Like, it's that little stuff that adds to that fear.
So if we're putting ourselves in 1981, thus far we have like The Omen, we have Texas Chainsaw, this was like a fucking a party of death. Like, this was one of the very first movies that was like, it's not like, hey man, we're gonna give you some moments in between that are kind of calm, and then we're gonna get back into it, and then it's calm, where there's really great actor. The whole, like, once it starts, the whole thing is just like, what's happening? What the fuck's going on?
Yeah.
So for this reason, Ozark Mark, I have to give this a 3.
Tree.
I have to give it a tree, but people will find me and they will kill me, because they will say, dude, this was the scariest movie I saw as a kid. Now, usually, like, I mean, I agree with you completely with it looks cornier now, but dude, this was one of those ones as a kid where people were like, what the fuck? Like the girl in the cellar, the fact that everybody, like all the demons were happy.
Yeah.
Like they all kind of teamed together. People did not like that. No. They were not used to that. And I could be a testament to that. It definitely freaked me out as a kid. So I have to give Evil Dead a 3. I have to.
I mean, no, it makes sense to me. I could see why. I don't think it's scary now, but yeah, back then, sure. As a movie in general, I don't know what other people's fears are, but I can see why.
Yes.
See why. So that is 7.5 out of 10. On to the last category.
Ozark, you know I fuck with it. You know I do.
Yep, so that's another point. So that is a total of 8.5 out of 10 for Evil Dead. Casting came it up a little bit short, but you know what are you gonna do? Sometimes you don't need a perfect cast to make a horror movie a great horror movie.
And that's a great score.
Great score. It's a great fucking score. It's almost too good to be true here. What a score.
That's an amazing score for us, because like I'm telling you, you put some of the current horror movies on that scale, you're gonna get a gross number. So please take that, Evil Dead fans. Don't take that casting as a bad thing, because Bruce Campbell, he's a point of his own, and those other people altogether are half a point. So, but be fair to what it is.
Yes. Okay, there we go. So now you know. Now you know what kind of a movie this is. Now you know about it, or maybe you've seen it before and you're here just to get a little bit of nostalgia. We're happy to have you here. Now, Christian Ramey, we only have a couple minutes left here in our program. So, do you have anything that you would have final thoughts on? I know you do, because you don't shut up. About Evil Dead 1981. Or Sloppy Horror Podcast. Or anything in general.
Ozark Mark. Now, next week,
Christian Ramey's final word.
Evil Dead I breathed on it. Obviously, we're going to have a season of sequels. And, what do we got, Mark? Like damn near like 30 episodes out? 30 episodes, somewhere in that neck of the woods. So we've only really tackled, and you put down horror movies. If you're a big horror movie nerd, even if you're not a horror movie nerd, I guarantee you can name 50. Like if you're just a fan of movies and you're like semi-familiar with horror movies, you could probably name 50 of some of the best. We will get into all of the Evil Deads, I promise you. So if you're an Evil Dead fan, don't break our balls and be like, when's 2 coming? When's Army of Darkness coming? I promise you. With all of my heart, we will cover it. But what I am going to tell you, I'm not going to give you guys anything crazy. I'm not going to tell you guys anything about next week except I hope you like Sam. And that's it. Sam the man. That's all I'm going to say. You're going to have a little sample of that, but it is October, folks, and for the people who know, they know. I don't know if Ozark's seen this movie either, but it's a big one. All you folks are talking about it. That's my job, Ozark's job to you. We're bringing life back into Halloween, back into horror, and it's not the world's fault, Ozark, Mark. It's back in the hands of the suits. The industries run the horror movies. It's not the directors. Nowadays, we're going to see Halloween 37 followed by Ghostbusters 9 followed by everything's a reboot, a remake. Producers are afraid and they're going for the sure bet and the sure thing. You think Wes Craven he knew he was going to make it. John Carpenter knew they were going to make it. No, man. They came up with their own fucking ideas, and even though they were simple, they were trying to make buck too. I'm not saying they made artsy pictures, but they took their own fucking chances. And back, even in our childhood, you remember in the 90s how dope the fucking Halloween commercials were, and then you'd have like the Friday night double feature, watch 2 scary creature features. You'd have people pumping it up. And I'm not saying there aren't people doing that now, but since the internet has really taken hold, the early 2000s, think like Ghost Ship, Jeepers Creepers, Joyride, even just random horror movies that would come out of the woodwork that were original, those have started to fall down since the Texas Chainsaw remake, and we have a lot of, since one remake worked, I guess they all gotta work, and nobody wants to take chances. What I think, and movie critics, they've gone to Siskel and Ebert, fuck them, but back in the day, man, you'd be able to pick up a newspaper and read how a fucking movie was doing. That's what we're trying to deliver here. Now, if you don't agree with our opinion, that's okay. Like, we're not talking shit just to talk shit. But the thing is, we're bringing that back to life. Sloppy Horror will have theaters. We will have these things where people can have venues to play movies from up-and-coming directors that are coming up, like new John Carpenters, new Wes Cravens. We want to put excitement back into this, folks, so we want you to be fucking happy for October, pumped up like I am. Maybe not like I am, but be pumped up. Next week, we're talking about Sam. It's trick or treat, baby. We're having a fun time. It's Halloween. We're having a good time.
You don't need to yell in the microphone.
I'm sorry.
Stop doing that.
Okay. But also, I really will encourage you guys, check out the website if you haven't thus far. And very quickly, if you guys follow us on TikTok, I have on top of our link the bio for our link tree. Join our Discord. We're having a giant watch party with other content creators from TikTok every Friday night in October. If you want to find horror movies, join the Discord. You could be a part of it. Streamin' Demon, those of you guys familiar with him, he'll be on this Friday. Night of the Creeps, I forget his other movie. Justine, she'll be the week after. And then I will be the final week of October. We're watching 2 horror movies. We're having a good time. It's October. We're doing the most. Nobody's doing it like us, baby. So we hope you have a good fucking week. You savor the flavor. We'll be back with some spooky shit, some sloppy shit for you, your wife, your mom, everybody.
Okay, goodbye.